I think the underdog story is just a more universally relatable story that's probably rooted in not feeling enough. Have you always been a collector?
Yes, but not of stuff that went up in value. I'd like to say I
I
was a
guess not.
wise collector, but I'm not. I'll say, "Oh, I like that," and then I'll take it and find out that it's worth nothing. Um,
One day,
one
one
day,
day,
one day.
people
Um,
just haven't realized its value yet.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. When I'm long gone, my kid, this is going to pay for my kids through college, I'm sure. That's, wait, I don't plan on being gone when they're in college. Wait a second. I take that back. This is great, honestly. Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Roaring Game is so much fun. Um,
Oh, you saw it.
yeah, it's
Oh,
such a
great.
joy. Oh yeah, we had a great time watching it. Um,
Nice. Did I represent your country well?
yes, very much
Okay,
so.
good.
What excited you about taking part in the film? What brought you into it?
Well, I was living down in Mexico for a bit, so I hadn't worked in a while, and these guys sent me this script, and I was like, man, this movie's so silly and dumb, and I was like, this would be so much fun to go do. Um, and then I also was working on something personally that I was writing. It was had to do with a alcoholic Canadian, and so when I read this, I was like, what if I just played that character in this movie and kind of just like see how it went. And so that's when I read the script. I was like, I was a fan of Mickey Rourke, and the movie seemed really fun, which was I don't get comedies thrown at me all the time, and it's just 2 weeks of my life and kind of a no brainer.
Oh, it's such a blast, and Troy's hilarious. I have to ask you about the voice. Uh, the Troy's Canadian accent. How did you bring his? How did you go about bringing that voice to life?
I mean, I grew up in Canada. I'm Canadian, so
Where did you grow
I
up? I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm from Vancouver Island. So I basically just like based my character on every single person that I hated in my childhood. Like it was basically that Troy was the reason I left Vancouver Island was guys like Troy. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play that guy. I also had a couple of buddies that were ex NHL players that I talked to, and I talked to quite often, and yeah, it wasn't hard, but it was almost like once I found it, I was like, whoa, this guy's in there. This guy's prevalent.
He's great. He's
Mm.
great. Um, I would love to ask you just about the film in general because the film, like I said, it's such a fun sports movie and it's a real underdog story. But why do you think we love the underdog so much? Why do we keep coming back to this sort of tale?
It's a great question. I think probably at its core, it's relatable. It's a relatable story where nobody, there's very few people in the world that feel like the top dog and that relate to the top dog. Even guys that are top dogs to me probably still think they're an underdog trying to get on top. And so I think the underdog story is just a more universally relatable story that's probably rooted in not feeling enough or not amounting to enough and or too much shame in their life. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist.
Well, I think all that's true. And I think so going back to Troy, um, do you think of him as an underdog or and this is all about Darren's character about Ricky being a winner. Do you think Troy is a winner?
I think that these are great questions, man.
Thank you.
Do I think I think in a way, for me to play that character, I had to make Troy in his mind and his perspective a bit of a victimized underdog to make his story kind of make sense to him because he's delusional, right? He's like a basically like a narcissistic sex addict who's like delusional in his story. And so, I played him like his wife had divorced him and left him for a younger hockey player, and he was like brokenhearted and just so, not given his time or his recognition by the world. And this is like his moment to really give back to women's hockey, as this underdog that like wasn't given what he deserved. And I think that like allowed me to play kind of the more narcissistic approach and perspective of Troy as a victimized human being in the world. Makes it funnier too, if you can see these pieces of shit like from a more victimized place. It makes it, I think, more fun to play than I'm top dog, I'm here to like, impress everyone. If you kind of approach them with what is a narcissist, where's their perspective rooted in, their perspectives rooted in is usually more like I've been hurt.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And, in some ways, I was watching the film, and he kind of, I know you didn't. I don't think you have any scenes with Mickey. Did you have any scenes? No, I don't think there were any
No.
scenes between the two of you. But in some ways, he kind of echoed Mickey to me, except that I felt like he couldn't back it up the same way. Like, like Mickey's character is sort of the top dog, and everybody is bowing to him, and I feel like Troy believes he is and doesn't have that same level of respect. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or believe thinks he does. It's an interesting tension.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the movie is full of losers, and you know, Ricky's the only one that has like a heart of gold and is like doing the right thing. Everyone's kind of living in their own delusion, their own lie, and chasing ghosts.
Hmm. Hmm. I like that. I like that. I mean, you grew up in Vancouver, and again, I know you don't have the ice on here, but did you play curling a lot growing up or at all?
Oh, I've never curled in my life. That was the first time I saw it, curling. I grew up playing hockey. So I had been on the ice, and I got to skate on the ice a bit in this. I hadn't skated in probably 20 years. So it was interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, I grew up on a golf course, and we had a little pond that would freeze over in the wintertime, and we'd play hockey on the pond in the backyard. Um, the good old hockey game.
That is
Not curling though.
it's funny because curling is like a thing, but I'll be honest, I think I've played once in my life. But it's a huge game. Like it's a massive
That's
thing.
that's
Um,
once more than all of us.
fair enough. Fair enough. Um, you know, uh, going back to Troy, just one more time here. We talked about him being a narcissist. Um, but we see him sort of scrambling this whole time to try and be top dog. Do you think he has a great fear? What do you think is Troy's biggest fear?
I think Troy's biggest fear is being alone. If you notice, like he always has somebody with him. He was never alone. He's always got to have some girl. He's always got to have some external validation, And I think that's what happens when you get famous and you're around people for 20 years. I think his career lasted like 15 years or something like that, where he was like really a hot shot. And then it's like, when you get so used to that and so attached to that, you see it with a lot of actors in my industry. Like, it's just you get shot out of the cannon, and then all of a sudden you're let go, and it's like, how do you pivot? And so I think for him, he's at this point where he's trying to pivot, and he's kind of using who he was in his past as value for who he is today. But I think there's a panic into him because it doesn't fill him up like it used to. And so he's going, oh shit, my ex-wife left me. But I've got some young girls, that maybe I'm impressing here. And so it's this panic of like, who am I? I definitely played Troy like he's in the midst of his midlife crises, trying to figure out identity. And I think when I always try to find that in my characters, because then it's kind of coming from a more relatable um, piece of life, where it's like, oh, okay, even though I'm watching a piece of shit, even though I'm watching a top dog that's trying to dominate everyone, how is that character relatable? Or how do you find the comedy? And comedy is about relatability too, right?
Yeah, I like that because this is one of the things. Like, obviously, the film is over the top. It's goofy. It's funny. It's very silly. But even a character like Troy, he does kind of feel like the guy from high school. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
somebody in
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Justin, the film's a blast. I really appreciate the chance to chat with you about it. Thank you so much. Roaring Game is it's hilarious. It's so fun.
Thanks, brother.
Thank
I
you.
hope you survive the next few months up in Toronto, or you get yourself
Thanks.
a little vacation to Jamaica or something like that.
Oh, if only. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks.